What's up, guys? I'm here with my good buddy Ryan McNutt, the owner of One Source Branding. And this is the first time I'm doing this. I'm going to be conducting an interview of him, a successful entrepreneur. We're going to go through his hardships and all the other, struggles that he went through to lead up to where he's at today, and talk about some things he learned along the ways, and then other insights that you guys can probably learn too from someone that has done it all. And I'm talking literally done it all, from sales to brands to now managing a ton of brands and having equity in, different industries, and yeah, it's great. So yeah, this is Ryan McNutt. Go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
First, man, appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks for the opportunity. So yeah, my name's Ryan. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida. So basically born in Florida, but spent a lot of my time growing up in the South, Alabama and Georgia, back and forth for quite some time. But yeah, me and Jenna live in Orlando now. We run One Source Branding and Media, full service digital marketing and branding company.
Yeah, how did we first meet you?
Oh, man.
How did you get linked up?
So, I mean, obviously I followed the brand for a long time, and then we were out here one year. I always come out here for my birthday every February, and we linked up with Ryan to get a tour of the warehouse. And Ryan linked us up to do a tour of the warehouse. I reached out, and then we met that day, and rest is history, man.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, tell the audience a little bit more about One Source Branding, and then like what you guys have done since the beginning to scale it to where it is today, because you guys have clients all over the world, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. So the concept of One Source Branding and Media was to create a one-stop shop. Through my past experiences with businesses, I always found that, you would have to use multiple sources. I'd go here for a website. You have to use this company for social media, this company for business cards, etc. So the concept was to create a one-stop shop. So we do full service. We do websites, signs, their email management, to their social media, their shirts, their polos, whatever they need, they can come to us. And we work with a variety of industries, man, from apparel to home service, gyms, you name it.
Yeah, because you do like what you have commercial real estate clients as well? Or?
Yeah, we have realtors, gyms, juice bars, coffee shops, clothing brands, spray foam installation companies, roofing companies, construction companies, staffing firms, you name it. We pretty much touch it. Auto repair shops is a big thing for us. And yeah, our clients are spread out. So.
Yeah, how long you guys been doing that?
We started 3 years ago. We started with our first client was in Peru, and built a website, and they did like guided tours. And then from there, man, we built the past 3 years. Yeah, our first client was Peru, and then we took on a tattoo shop, and it just built from there, man. What's interesting is we've never done any marketing or advertising ourselves.
Funny, right?
It grew.
Always works like that.
Yeah, man, it's all been word of mouth. Our clients have built our business, so very fortunate for that.
Just to let you guys know, as Lift started scaling, our website started getting a lot more complex. It was hard to categorize things, and I was just like, dude, I don't know. It was a lot of clusteredness inside the website. So I actually reached out to Ryan. And we recently, this was a couple months ago.
Yeah, February.
Yeah, February, we he flew down here, and we just went to work and literally reorganized, just pretty much gave Lift a facelift.
Yeah.
And it was we worked how many hours straight? It was wild.
It was
my eyes were bleeding.
Long days.
My contacts bled into my eyeballs.
Long days, man.
But good yeah, time. They knocked that all out, and then now he's just still helping Skylabs out. Lifted Apparel, Top Threads, my personal site. So they do a lot of stuff for me as well, just because I trust it, and I've seen his track record, and everything's been super gravy, So yeah.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. So now with that success and all that stuff, let's backtrack a little bit and kind of let the audience know, or give them a little bit of more in-depth background of like your childhood, because I feel like every entrepreneur out there that has a crazy that's like super successful comes from like a really, really fucked up upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of like a stereotype, but it's fucking true.
It is, yeah.
So let's hear it. Like backtrack and
Yeah.
tell us about your childhood and then like middle school, high school, shit that, big moments that led you to where you are,
Yeah, definitely, man. So, I was always back and forth. My parents separated. I mean, I may have been one. I have no memory of my parents together. So I was always back and forth. Primarily, like I said, I was born in Florida, but probably around the age of 5, my dad moved to Georgia. My mom was in Alabama. So, definitely buried in the South. So in the Montgomery, Alabama area, and then in the Macon, Georgia side. So really in the South, I was back and forth. Spent most of my time. What's interesting is middle school and prior to, I went to a private school that was actually in a trailer. So I didn't go to a public school for a long time, where my teachers, I would actually just put on headphones. And our teachers were on VHS. So we would put in a VHS tape and watch our teachers.
Kind of like right now, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was nuts. So I did that for years, and then I moved with my mom at that time, which was the end of middle school, to Alabama, and then that's when I went into public schools. But that area, is an interesting area.
Yeah, give them a little brief explanation, because we're here in Southern California, super diverse.
Yeah.
Everything is super, everything goes.
Well, man, yeah, definitely. So Alabama is simply, it's black and white, no in between, and I spent a lot of my time in, lived in a trailer, so I was coming out of the trailer parks constantly, for me, I was always very diverse. Yeah. So I had a large mix of friends, but that didn't take away from what was really going on, so it was very difficult.
When you say diverse as in?
Racism is very well, or at least then was very well and alive. I mean, it was like I said, black and white. That was it, right? And that's what it was, man. And so it was, honestly, you could say segregated in a sense. You know what I mean?
It was Asian people there?
No, man. It was black and white. It was black and white, bro. It was, yeah. So no diversity at all in that area. So there was constantly. You had those things going on daily in school, you know what I mean? Where it was just, you would have literally fights that were just based on race. So there was a lot of that. And then, but with myself, I was kind of in between the circles, you know what I mean? I moved around a little bit, and during high school, started to kind of get involved with the wrong crowd, gang affiliations and all of that, and put myself in a lot of really bad situations, which definitely caught up with me. So I did get in quite a bit of trouble off and on.
Into those details?
Yeah. So, the back and forth between my mom and dad was primarily because I would get in trouble. So I was living with my mom, and I would get in trouble, and she would send me with my dad. And then my dad would send me back to my mom. So the first time I really started to get in trouble, I was around I want to say 10, 11 years old. I had... I hate even talking about it, but so I pulled a gun. I took a gun out of my mom's room, and I had egged this girl's house. This is terrible, by the way. I egged this girl's house, and she came back and egged my house, and I went and got a gun, a pistol, and waved it outside, and so
over some eggs.
Yeah, over some eggs, and the police came knocking on my mom's door, and so that was like one of the first times I really got in trouble, and then. Stealing from the mall. I got arrested a few times for theft, and then fighting, and then I actually got kicked out of the public school system. So I was getting into fights, and they locked me into the school. They actually put the whole school on lockdown. And at the time, I didn't realize that they were searching my vehicle. And
wait, this all sounds crazy. Now that you can step out and then, look at yourself from a third person point of view, were you a bad kid, or were you just stuck in wrong place, wrong time type?
Great intentions, always. Mm-hmm. But I was always in the wrong positions. You know what I mean? It was, looking back at it now, I was just lost. Right. You know what I mean? I didn't really, I never really had an identity. I never really felt an identity. You know what I mean? So I think looking back now, and then honestly, man, I never really fit in well with those areas. Right, you know what I mean? So, it was very hard for me on all sides, whether it be Georgia or Alabama. I had although I had great friends and I was very, social with everyone, I never felt connected. So I think looking back now, it was a lot of more so just kind of lost. And then the people that did accept me, you just put yourself in those situations, right? You're hanging around a lot of people that steal or that are messing around with weapons or drugs or whatever. You fall into it too. But my intentions were always good. I just caught myself in that mix.
Yeah. I think that's really important too, especially with what's going on nowadays, where people are so quick to judge without knowing what kind of intentions or backgrounds or situation this person is coming from.
For sure.
Like I think that's a really good take from just what you discussed right now. Is things are so complex. It's kind of trying to explain a story in like a sentence or so. Like if you were to say that and to someone describing yourself, they would for sure say, no, this guy, he's a piece of shit.
Immediately shut you down.
Yeah, this guy would never own a business. He would never So I think that's a really eye-opener for people out there too, to say if they're lost or whatever, or feel like they don't really fit in. It's kind of normal,
It is, man, especially as a kid, and if you're moving back and forth and, I know that's a situation for a lot of kids, man. And when you're not, you're not in one place and you're moving around and you're influenced by different things, it's easy to fall into those traps.
You really don't have any security at that point. You're kind of just going with the flow.
Exactly.
But yeah, let's pick up where we left off. So you were in what, like high school, or you shoplifting and all that
I'm in
stuff?
high school at this point. I'm in ninth grade, man, and I got in some trouble. They were searching my vehicle. They found some drugs and a weapon in my vehicle, and so they removed me from the public school system. So I was completely banned. I could not show up to, I could not come on school properties. I could not go to football games, anything like that. And
what do your parents think at that point? Like,
so, I was with my mom at that time. My mom was at the time, a single mom.
That's Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama, and man, I look back at it, my mom was doing the best she could, but I was on my own a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was always by myself. Not saying my mom was great, I love my mom to death, but she was busy working, at times multiple jobs. And so she was never home. I was always alone. So obviously, I know that put a lot of pressure on my parents because they were trying to deal with me. And then I'm going back and forth and I'm getting caught up in all of these different things. So, I can imagine now being a parent, what, I see now what they were going through. So when I got in trouble at that point, I also got into the mix. We had, a buddy and I had stolen some credit cards from this guy. And long story short, it was just in a ton of trouble. And it got to the point where the local police department, they knew me. I was in trouble. The sergeant sat me down. I'll never forget it. They started watching us, and I didn't know that we were being watched. Right. At the time, the guy that I did it with called me, and he's like, "Hey, I'm turning us in," and I was like, "No, you can't do that. Meet me at Chick-fil-A," and I'll never forget it. At the time, the sergeant, which knew me, which I'll also say, I contribute coming out of a lot of that stuff to the people around me, because even though I was doing messed up shit and always in trouble, people still helped me through it. You know what I mean? Nobody really threw me away, right? And so I look back now and I'm like, a lot of people brought me through it. Maybe they saw potential in me. That's good. So they guided me through it. But anyway, he comes to me and he's like, "Look, you're in trouble. Don't say anything to me because I'm gonna have to use it against you, but I'm giving you till tomorrow morning to turn yourself in." And I was already kicked out of school. And now here I am facing major trouble. And at this time, I'm 17, I was 16, 17. And so I went and turned myself in the next morning. And my mom's there, and they asked my mom, they're like, "Are you going to wait here with him until we transport him?" And at that point, we're like, "What do you mean transport?" And they're like, "Well, we're going to take him to the juvenile detention center until his court date." So they come and they send a state trooper to transport me. They're doing all of the paperwork, and kid you not, they got a phone call while we were doing the paperwork that the bed in the detention center that they had reserved for me, they had to give to someone who committed a larger crime. So they had to let me go until my court date.
Damn.
And that was kind of my turning point as far as getting in trouble. I realized at that point, man, I gotta.
This was real.
This is the final straw. I always. got away with the things. I would get in trouble, I would get arrested, but I never really got, severe punishment for what I was doing.
Right.
So that was the time that I realized like I got to make a change, and I got to make a change quick. And so, I didn't continue to pursue private school or anything. I dropped out in 9th grade, and I've never returned to school since. Yeah, I never returned to school since.
What were you doing up until, well, shit, I mean, if you didn't go to school, would you just...
I started working. Yeah, I started working. So I had 3 jobs. I got a job at Subway. I had a job at a Captain D's, and then I had a job at a detail shop. So I was detailing cars. Yeah, detailing cars. So I was working 3 jobs. And
at 17.
Yeah. And then I just, I've always had a work ethic. That's one thing my dad put in me. So
good.
So once I was able to occupy my time with work, I was able to start to open up doors because of my work ethic. And so worked a lot of different things, man, from, the fast food to I changed oil and did front end car work at a Chevrolet dealership, to work in factory lines, 12-hour shifts, at making bread and flour, and a lot of different careers and jobs.
So like, how did you get your first hire? Did you just start applying a ton of places? You said you worked at Subway, you said?
Yeah, Subway.
Was that your first one? Or?
Yeah, that was my first job. I just started applying. And then after those, the Capital Chevrolet, I had somebody that introduced me, and they kind of gave me a chance to work as an assistant to one of their main mechanics.
Why do you think he gave you that position?
I don't know. I guess they saw something in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what was interesting though is they didn't know my background. It was never asked.
Right.
And so I got that opportunity, and that was kind of the beginning of my working career.
Mm-hmm.
And then I signed up with a temp agency, and then they would put me into these different positions. Yeah, and then I would just work my ass off.
So explain to them what temp agencies do, because I'm sure a lot of our audience don't know what.
You basically sign up, and then they let you know, hey, this this company needs someone for this shift these days, and you just work temporary, so you're not actually working for that company.
Yeah, we've hired a few temps.
Yeah,
before,
so it's just like filling in as needed,
mm-hmm.
And then but I would always just work my ass off, and then the company would see it, and then they would hire me.
Okay, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Right there, before we go forward more, but that's like one thing I really stress a lot too, even in our work environment here. Everyone that's worked here for more than a year knows that you got to put in work.
Have to.
They're like, oh, RP's he's got you, but you have to put in your work.
Yeah.
It might look all fun and games, from the outside, but it's because we've done the hard grit work first, then after that, it's recognized, and that's how you open up opportunities. No matter what your position is too, though. Like, you can see a warehouse guy down there, he's killing it. Now, I'm looking like, dude, okay, maybe you can do something else. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a very, very important trait, because I don't know, man, I feel today, people think just because they got a job at like a regular whatever spot that they're gonna give like a regular work ethic. Like, no, you gotta kill it, because that'll just open more opportunities.
Absolutely.
And,
That was always my goal. No matter what I was doing, my goal was always to just kill it, and I wanted to be the best at it, and that's what opened the doors.
Yeah.
That's the only way I was able to get anything, being a 9th grade dropout.
Right. I think Bill Burr, the comedian, I was just watching his interviews the other day. He's talked about that. He's like, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? When you go into a job interview, you're fucking like so eager to work because you want to work. And then when you get the job, you're like, you fucking slack. Like, what the fuck? You're two different people. Like, which one are you going to give me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I hope that makes some impact on some people. But anyways, so you go through this job, you're an assistant to, what was it again?
Mechanic. Yep, yeah. Front end work. So from there, my next step, which again, coming out of the trouble and everything, the temp agency, Coca-Cola needed help on the night shift building pallets.
So this was a temp?
The temp spot, yeah.
Oh,
temp
shit,
spots.
I didn't know that.
Temp spots, yep. So then Coca-Cola brings me on as a temp working night shift.
Uh-huh.
It was from 1 p.m. to 3 a.m. and we would build pallets. And so,
fuck.
Yeah, dude. And actually there were times where we would do 18-hour shifts. And but what we would basically do is build all of the pallets for the orders for the trucks going out the next day. Yep. And even though I was through a temp agency, it was commission only. There's no hourly pay. You get paid per case. Wow. So you basically swipe your little card, you get a ticket, You build the pallet. The faster you build it, the more that you build, the more money you make.
Yep.
So I went in there and I took full advantage of that opportunity, and I became the #1 puller. Yep. And then I started asking for more opportunities.
Yeah.
So Coca-Cola ended up hiring me on full time. They brought me on full time.
As a pallet builder?
Yep, pallet builder. I was actually only like one of 3 employees that did that. The rest was all temp. Yeah, they would do all temp.
Wow.
Because it was such a high turnover job, because 16, 18-hour shifts.
Right.
Nobody was really trying to make a career out of that.
Right.
But
you're now employee W-2 through Coca-Cola.
yeah, man, through Coca-Cola. Night shift, building pallets. And I did a lot of other things leading up to that, but that's like the real, that was the gist of it.
Point.
And get this, so just to back up a little bit, so right before that, I also found out I was going to be having a child. Now,
so how old are you? How old are you?
So by the time the Coca-Cola thing happened, because obviously I missed a little gap, I want to say I'm probably 19.
Okay, so yeah.
19, I kind of, so there's a few years, again, of doing just random. It was just a lot of random jobs through temp. And then my first day at Coca-Cola, I get home and found out my dad passed. So my first, yeah, I know. It's,
so what came first?
It's a lot, yeah.
You're gonna have a kid?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a kid. My dad knows. All right, so having a kid comes first, and then now I get on with Coca-Cola to start, and then my dad dies. So that was my first day starting Coca-Cola. Dude. My dad dies, and which I was extremely close with my dad. Yeah. So I was back and forth, and again I missed some years between that 17 to 19, but again it was just a lot of fillers, and so that was tough, and then that was an interesting time because I was on my way up, but it also set me on a destructive path at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I am, trying to build my life. I got to take on responsibilities as a father. I'm trying to get a career. I want a sales position in Coca-Cola, so I'm trying to work for that. My dad passes away shortly after my aunt passes away, right? So within a 3-month time span, my aunt passes away, and then I deal with it's about a 4-year window that I buried 10 to 12 family members.
Buried as in like?
Passed away, man. I buried my father. I buried my Aunt Joanne, my Aunt Diane, my Uncle Roy, my Aunt Vicky, all 4 of my grandparents.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dude, it was just insane.
From what though?
Just random stuff. My dad passed of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, my aunt died, also related to her heart.
And you were close with?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck,
yeah.
Dude.
There's a lot going on at this time. Again, just trying to go back and collect it. There's a lot going on, and and then I'm working this job with Coca-Cola, so I'm performing very well through all of this. But at the same time, that's why I mean it. Looking back at it now, it's very interesting times, right? So I have this huge opportunity. I'm going up, but I'm also on this hidden destructive path that nobody knows, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to deal with coping that my father's passed. I end up, getting involved with drugs. So I'm also at this time now, let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, I end up getting an opportunity as a merchandiser, which means now they're going to pull me out of the warehouse. They're going to let me go and assist people when they're on vacation in their stores, on their routes.
Yeah.
So now I've gotten an opportunity, right? They're putting me in front of their customers. At the same time, I'm fighting a hidden drug addiction because I'm empty.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know this until I just processed all this stuff in the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm able to say it now looking back. I'm extremely empty. Yeah. Right? Just empty. I'm dealing with this drug addiction that nobody knows about. Right. Completely hidden from everyone. Coping with being a father, coping with the death, coping with trying to build a career. Yeah. So it was very interesting, interesting times, man. It was a lot of, it was very fast. Yeah. There's a lot of good happening, a lot of bad happening, and I wasn't processing either. Shit. But I was thriving on the business side, so I'm working myself up through Coca-Cola to, it kind of goes back to what you were just talking about. They gave me the opportunity, so my goal is to capitalize on it. Right. So what I do is, my goal is, all right, I'm working in this store for this guy while he's on vacation. So I have a week to outperform him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the way I looked at it. So the store managers are watching me. So how can I be better than he is when he's here? To where the stores start saying, hey, I don't want our rep back. We want Ryan. So, you know, it promotes me. I get my own route. So Coca-Cola starts to give me, you know, my own route. They give me these old routes that are failing. Yeah. Then they take routes that are not performing well, right? And they're like, hey, these accounts we feel like can have potential. We're shit in the bed with them. Let's see if you can go in and build them. And so again, I'm thriving on this side, but I'm in this dark world, dude. Nobody even has a clue. Nobody knows, man. And I'm fighting this.
Do you think people are watching, let's say they work for Coca-Cola and they know you, they have no idea?
No idea, not unless they were extremely close to me. And actually, at the time, one of my best friends, after about 2 years, man, I can probably say had he came out and said it. He's like, hey, Ryan's gonna die if he doesn't stop this.
Damn, you were like going to fucking...
He did it, like, he brought it out and told on me. And then he's like, look, dude, I love you too much. Right. Looking back at it, had he not done that, I know for a fact I would have died. I know for a fact. I was on my way to an overdose. It was just gonna happen. And so he put it out, and to this day I love the guy to death for that. Because I look back now and I'm like, and I was able to quit cold turkey. That was my wake up call. I never went to rehab. I never battled anything. I mean, obviously there were times I would deal with things, you know, but I didn't have to go through the process that a lot of drug addicts or people addicted to drugs have to go through to get off. I was able to just, I'm done. This is my wake up call. You know, I got a good opportunity here. I got a kid. I can't go this route. Right. You know, so I'm overcoming that, and then still trying to build. Coca-Cola gives me the opportunity, you know, and now I'm doing sales, marketing, and branding for Coca-Cola.
That's huge.
Yeah, I build one of the largest routes in the Southeast District. They moved me to Florida, and again, I'm fast forwarding, but that's kind of the beginning of my path forward. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Before we move forward again, what do you think kept you going during that time? Because I know, like, everyone's battling some shit personally, you know, but this one, it's kind of like fucking deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you just say, well, did you use that as like a motivation or something to go further in Coca-Cola, or were you just driven with that more, you know?
I think it was my only option.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Looking back at it now, again, because, man, I didn't have any degrees. I didn't have anything else at that point. Right. So it was like, this was my opportunity, and I knew it, you know, and I skated through a lot of this stuff. They didn't know that I was a 9th grade dropout. I'm not sure they would have ever given me the chance. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Because now they put me in front of their biggest clients, their biggest customers to sell, you know. So I think what kept me motivated was I knew that was all I had to keep moving forward, right? So I was putting that energy into the work, and that's all that I've had was work ethic. Right. You know what I mean? That's what it was just instilled in me, and I knew, like, without that, I'm not going to get anything. But I also knew with that, I can get anything I want. Yeah. I knew that was the key. Huge. You know, I knew that was the key. So no matter where I'm failing, no matter, you know, what situations are going on in my life, I know that as long as I maintain that work ethic, that drive, I'll carry through it, you know, and I can maneuver through it. But yeah, I've always went up and down with different struggles through all of that, major struggles, crazy, dude. And like I said, I didn't honestly process it till the past 3 years.
It takes time, right?
Takes time, man. So yeah, because my dad passed in 2003, and I faced it for the first time 3 years ago. So I carried all of that. I carried all of that death, all of that addiction, everything just completely buried because I just kept moving. So I was never addressing any of it.
Do you feel that you're a lot better now that you've opened up?
Now, you know? Yeah, but once I started to process it, it took me deep into a dark. Yeah. Because once I started to address it and give my attention to the things that I had been going through, it started to really close in on me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that I need to work on, because coming from like an Asian family, with like my dad and stuff being really strict and stuff, we don't really show emotion. Yeah. Especially that's like a male. So it's like, even Sarah tells me all the time, like, dude, you need to like fucking let loose and you know what I mean? Like, talk about your problems and shit. Like, me and my brother, we do the same shit. We're just so fucking just, it's all good, because they come from a genocidal war, and then they come over here, they don't want to talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And they see people like get their heads blown off, shit like that, they don't want to bring it up at all. But I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I know that shit will eat you up inside. It's like, fuck. But.
Yeah, man, I believe it will too until you face it. I really do. Looking back at it, I'm glad I finally, I didn't have a choice to face it. I mean, there's more stuff that we'll get into that forced me to face it just 3 years ago. But now that I've faced it, I'm comfortable talking about it. I'm comfortable being open and transparent, and I can talk about it now. So I do feel like I've overcome it.
All right, so now you've are crushing it at Coca-Cola.
Yep.
How long did you stay with that company until you decided to leave, or what happened?
Yeah. So I was with Coca-Cola for, I think probably 9 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so when they, I worked my way up, and again, at this time I'm in Montgomery, Alabama as a sales rep. So I'm running my own routes. And the guy at the time that, put me in those positions had moved to Pensacola, Florida. And so he called me up, had an opportunity. He was losing grip on his biggest accounts in Pensacola, knew what I was, knew my drive. So I moved to Florida, continued working for Coca-Cola there, and then an opportunity to get into healthcare was presented. I met someone that was running a staffing firm strictly for medical professionals.
Okay.
So putting nurses in hospitals there in Pensacola, they needed a recruiter. So he brought me an opportunity to be a healthcare recruiter in his office. So my job was just cold calling nurses, people that needed positions, putting them in the positions.
Yeah, so again, to let the audience know what recruiters are, in his field of nurses, he's just putting the two into calling nurses and seeing if they would be a good fit for this hospital that needs nurses and whatnot, so. Yeah. But then you were doing recruiting for a while, huh?
Yeah, I jumped into recruiting in Pensacola, and
wait, real quick, were you allowed to drink Pepsi?
Oh, no. So actually, to talk about that, because people find that interesting. It's extremely strict. It's to the point, and again, it was then, I'm assuming it may be now, but you couldn't eat so if you were in uniform, so if I'm in uniform, I'm in my truck, I could not eat at, say, KFC or Taco Bell, because Taco Bell, you cannot eat there. You can't be seen in uniform there. You cannot eat Doritos chips, because Doritos is owned by PepsiCo. I actually saw a guy, I'll never forget it, very early on when I was working in the warehouse at night. This fool comes in and pulls out a Mountain Dew in the lunch in the break room, and they fired him immediately. And they actually fired a guy too. He was in company vehicle at Taco Bell. And one of the managers drove by, and dude, he had been with Coca-Cola for like 5 years.
That's the corporate world for you guys, cutthroat.
Yeah, dude, they drove by and saw the Coca-Cola truck at the Taco Bell and pulled right in and fired him. Yeah, so no, they don't play about that. You can't eat at restaurants, anything associated with Pepsi.
I love Taco Bell, though.
Yeah, it was hard, man.
Coca-Cola, I don't know, man.
But so they were very real. That's very real. Yeah, that's funny.
That's cutthroat.
Yeah, I was diehard though, man. I wouldn't touch Pepsi. I was committed. I was loyal.
Did you get like a ton of Coca-Cola?
Oh yeah.
Coca-Cola blanket and shit.
Yeah, all types of stuff. I collected, dude. I collected tons of Coca-Cola stuff. I had a whole room, bottles and stuff, man. And so I was diehard. I was diehard Coca-Cola, man. That was my opportunity. So I owned it and fell in love, man. And and then like I said, better opportunities came.
Sorry, I had to ask that question.
Yeah,
it was
that's
in
funny.
my head.
I've been asked that a lot. It's like that. It's really
crazy,
like that.
But yeah, that's like the corporate world for you guys. One little thing, no mercy.
No mercy.
But anyway, so now you're a recruiter at a recruiting firm for nurses.
Yeah, man. So we jumped in and started recruiting, and I did that for about 1 year, and then they gave me a promotion to run my own office as an account manager.
Because in the recruiting world, recruiters, you are pretty much just, is it commission based, right? Because I know recruiters make a ton.
Yeah, so a lot of it comes off of commission. What positions you're filling, how many positions you're filling. So
you got to be like very, very social. You got to have skill sets for that. You think that taught you, or you think Coca-Cola, or everything kind of just leading up to that?
I think everything leading up to it, man. I've always been social, so I've never been shy.
Yeah.
So I think picking up the phone and working the phone for me wasn't really a big transition.
People are scared to do that nowadays.
Very.
I don't know why. Like kids are like, dude,
Yeah,
just get
no,
on the
man.
phone. What was the worst? Say no or whatever, or hang up. Cool. On to the next.
Never scared to pick up a phone, man, and
Yeah, I
ask
used to
for
work
it.
at Merits Research. I used to call, ask people to take surveys, you know,
Yeah.
for Bank of America or Edison, whatever. And I'd call on Sundays when I work Sundays. I get cussed out. I'm like, oh, this is Jesus' day. How dare you call me? I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
On to the next, you know. Anyways.
That's what we did. Phone lines all day. Yeah, so we would, and I did that for like a year. And then at the time they were about to close the Daytona Beach, Florida branch. So it was struggling. It was losing a lot of money. You know, I performed well as a recruiter. So because of that, they gave me the opportunity. They put me on what they called a stretch assignment. So they said, look, we're going to give you your own office. You're going to run it, but you have 90 days to see if you can save this office.
Jeez,
so they put me in an extended stay. So I lived in an extended stay, moved to Daytona Beach, and we turned the office around.
Yeah?
Yeah, we turned the office around, made it the #1 office in the South. Actually, it was the #1 office for a few months in the entire company out of 400 offices.
Damn,
We
dude.
turned it around, man. So, and then that, you know, at that point, now I'm building a portfolio in healthcare. And so I did that. I managed that office and that location for about 2 years. And then another company that did home healthcare approached me about a sales position, you know, work on my own, work from home, go see accounts. And basically what I would do is coordinate the care for patients when they're leaving the hospital or when they're leaving a nursing home and they need nurses at home.
Got it.
So that door opened, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. I did home health care. So I spent 12 years total in healthcare.
Oh, damn.
And then when I was working for a home health care company in 2012 is when I started my apparel brand, Healthy
I was gonna
Souls.
ask about that. Okay.
Yeah, so that comes into the picture about then, 2012.
What's it called again?
Healthy Souls. Healthy Souls Apparel. Yeah, we started off as a sandal company. So it was 10 colors, 10 causes, 10%. We had different sandals. Each sandal represented a different cause. So like the blue one would represent autism awareness. The orange one would represent human trafficking rescue, so on and so forth. And then we would partner with organizations.
Cool,
Yeah, and then we donate a portion of every purchase to that charity that's connected with it.
Nice.
So I'm starting this. I'm in healthcare. And started to really focus on my brand. And that was kind of the journey into entrepreneurship. I played around with a few things, you know, leading up to that. Nothing ever really caught steam, but this did. It started to catch steam.
Yeah, tell them a little bit more about that, because I remember you were at the point where you were going to get like a mall space and stuff and all this, like you were getting big.
Yeah, it was, so we started off as sandals, and it caught really good traction. So then I branched into apparel. So we were doing full-on apparel.
But just to give the audience a scale of it, like how big were you guys, or did you guys were you guys in stores or?
Yeah, so we started to get into stores, but then I opened up my own store. We were working on big partnerships. We were actually, and I can say this, but Tom's Shoes at the time, we were looking at partnerships with them. I just opened up, I started off with a stand in the mall. You know, I rented out a stand because retails were bringing us in. But I started thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I can go into a retail and deal with the terms, deal with the, you know, the wholesale cost, and then knowing too how retail stores work. You know, you're just a fad at that time. So it's like, you know, temporarily you're going to get your spot. Well, what happens after that? So I thought, well, I'll open up my own store.
Yep.
So we did. We launched our own store in the mall in Daytona Beach.
Okay.
It did really well. Started to really take off. Now at that point, I'm catching steam. We're actually flying to California every few months. Healthy Souls, we're the title sponsor for the Pacific Beach Fest in San Diego 3 years in a row. So we're catching steam. There's a whole campaign going on to get on the Ellen DeGeneres show. It's catching steam. I've got investors interested. We've got Tom's Shoes interested. So, you know, it's everything I'm thinking it's going to be, right? And we open up the store. It succeeds. We built the entire store out ourselves. And then the mall actually won an award for the best design store. So again, everything's going good, right? Right? Everything's going good. I'm like, this is it. You know, everything, we're literally close to going on the Ellen show. And 3 months after I opened the store, now when I built this store out, I put everything I had into it, which at the time was like about $90,000 to build this store out. I threw it all in, all chips in, and the manager to the mall comes to me with tears in her eyes. And she goes, Ryan, Pandora Jewelry wants to purchase this spot. And I'm like, well, all right, well, what does that mean? She's like, well, they're talking about a purchase, which is a buyout. You're in a year-to-year lease. Well, automatically, that over trumps the year-to-year lease. So you have two options. You can close the store, or you can sign a 10-year lease. So that was devastating, right? So at that point, you know, it hit me hard, dude. I actually had a complete like nervous breakdown. I mean, I completely had a nervous breakdown, and I ended up getting another location in the same mall and trying to move everything over to it, but it was a blow, man, because I couldn't recoup anything because it was all in a build out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like that's just done. You can't take that out and do anything with it. I have inventory, and that was a devastating blow, man. And
the mall wouldn't help you out or anything either.
They tried to put me in another unit, you know, but the problem with that was I had to pay to build that unit out. So here I am now. I'm taking, you know, what I do have, and I'm trying to build out another store, fill it with inventory, you know, and then I have to cut all my resources, right? So the people that I have doing this and handling social media and handling website, I have to cut them. I can't afford them because I took a major hit. So now, you know, I'm having to do all this myself. So now I'm having to learn how to do the website. I'm having to do the social media. And then I'm trying to manage this, you know, getting into another store. It was just too much. Long story short, I ended up just closing the store down, but I also ended up just like doing away with the brand for a while. I just put it on the shelf. I went through some personal things. And basically that was 2015. Literally lost everything.
Dude.
All right, I'm talking about everything. So I went through separation. I closed the store, and basically I find myself on the interstate, negative in the bank account, lost everything, and didn't know what I was gonna do. So 2015, that's what triggered what I said I wasn't facing. Everything else before, right? So it hits this trigger in me that brings everything up, right? So it hits me. I fall into the darkest time of my life. I'll never forget it, you know? And so 2015, man, I lost it all. And dude, I didn't want to be here. Had I not had kids, man, had it not been for my kids saved my life, which is other things, you know, and I don't want to bounce around because at this point, you know, when you're dealing with these things, my son, you know, I don't know if you remember that story, right? But my son drowns in a pool. So like my son 7 years ago drowns in a pool. We pull him out of the bottom of a pool. This is after all the experience in death that I already have. And my son's basically dead. His body's released his bowels. He's 7 years old. We pull his body out of the pool. He's gone, literally. And they get there. Body's released his bowels. We rush him to the ER. His lungs are filled with water. And dude, within 24 hours, they had to release us from the hospital. No medications, no follow-ups, no explanation. Water evaporated out of his lungs. He fully came back to. And so, you know, there's all of these things that I don't take time to process until I lose everything in 2015. So I'm in this house, I'm in this empty house I'm staying in that's a friend's that has it. I don't have anywhere to go, right? So I'm in this empty house and everything just weighs down on me. So at that point, I'm just,
time to think,
dude, I just have time to think, man. And that's when I started, you know, those thoughts come, right? Those suicidal thoughts. And it was dark times. Yeah. But with that being said, looking back, that was the beginning of my rebirth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I started to process everything, man. And then, you know, that kind of puts me into 2016, man. And that's, you know, I meet Jenna. I start to process all of this stuff. She really helps me through it. And then that leads into One Source becoming a concept. And you know, fast forward 5 years later, man.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's a lot to fucking take in. I don't even know what to fucking ask. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, man.
Dude, that is fucking nutty.
Yeah.
So 2016 was like, you said, you're like your rebirth. You started gaining everything. You met Jenna and stuff.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet her?
So this story, the story of me and Jenna. So again, now we're talking, I'm going through this huge depression phase, right? Yeah. So dude, I honestly, at this point, I've given up life without giving up life, right? Yeah. So I'm fully heavy into the bottle. I mean, I just did not care, to be honest with you. The only reason I'm still around at this point is because of my kids, and I have to be. And I'm at a restaurant. I go out to a restaurant. I was drinking extremely heavy, and I'm at this bar, and I turn around, and there's two girls sitting at a table, and I turn around, and I'm a few shots deep, and they're having this nice dinner. They're in their dress. They're sitting there having this girls' dinner, and Jenna's sitting at the table, and I like barge up to their table, and I'm like, hey, can I have a seat with you ladies? And they're like, yeah. And I sit down, basically completely interrupt their dinner, and that night, Jenna puts her number in my phone. And then she ignores me for like 2 weeks solid, because she sees me on Instagram the next day, and so I had kids, so she's like, I don't want anything to do with this guy, you know. And for 2 weeks she ignored me, and then she finally calls me up, and she's like, all right, you know, you can take me out to eat or whatever. That's all it'll be. I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for a relationship, whatever. So our first date lasted 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. We go out of town. And then she leaves 3 days later to grab clothes, and basically moved in a week later with me. And we've been together, inseparable ever since. We've never spent a day apart.
I'm going to go ask Jenna what happened to just
eat. No, I mean, and you know, we definitely, we literally have not spent 1 day apart. We've never spent a day apart, and not since that, we've nenever once. Yeah. We probably realistically, we've never spent more than maybe 4 hours apart since day one, since we met, man. And you know, we went through obviously some rocky roads, you know. But yeah, so I actually almost brought Healthy Souls back. So she's with me, and her and I are clicking, and we almost bring Healthy Souls back.
Did you tell her about everything?
Everything. 100% transparent, man. So that's what made it, I think that's what made it easy, man, because I didn't have anything to hide. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was fully transparent about everything. And I had the concept of one source. You know, I was always like, one day we can create a company that kind of does it all. So anyway, her and I are together for probably 6 months, and I'm like, well, maybe she's encouraging me to bring back Healthy Souls, right? And I'm like, well, let's try it out or whatever. So her and I start to kind of maybe develop it. I'm like, it can be online only. So we kind of start putting that together, but I couldn't get away from the concept of one source. At the time, she's working a full-time position for a manufacturer that does like lotion and stuff. Okay. And she calls me up one day. She's over it. She's had a bad day. And I was like, look, like, we don't really have anything anyway. So just quit your job right now. And she's like, and do what? And I said, we'll build this company, One Source. We'll scratch everything else. We'll build this company, One Source, and we'll run social media for businesses. And she did it. She's like, she's like, all right. She's like, all right. Fuck. And she quit. And then, so the next day, dude, her and I are sitting in the apartment talking about how we're going to build a company running social media. And that was the beginning, man. That was literally the beginning. She quit her job. We both locked in and started just working together.
And she started learning social media stuff.
Taught everything, yeah.
At this point, all this stuff, the services you guys offer and everything, that's all self-taught now, right?
100%.
SEO, website building. All that stuff, right?
Yeah, I was forced, you know, I learned the website through the loss because I had to fire the web team to do my own website. So I knew a little bit about it. I'm like, I know I can build a website, you know? But yeah, all self-taught. She had, you know, I had sales background, but she didn't have any designing or any background like that. We just dove in and fully committed, man. And that's literally, that's why we've been inseparable, man. Like, she put it all on the line, and started building it.
Yeah, now you guys are crushing it. So
Yeah.
How did you guys even get your first client? I think that's that's probably the number one question you get to is like, how do you close your first deal? How did you even like start?
Yeah, man. So I was on Facebook, and a tattoo shop locally said that they were looking for a website. So I called him up. I said, look, I'll build you a website in exchange for a tattoo. Mm-hmm. I did that job, and then through that contact, he had just gotten back from vacation in Peru, and where he met the tour guide that hired us. So our first client, like paying client, he comes on. We are running, dude, I don't mind saying it was $100 a month.
$100 a month.
$100 a month. That's what we quit everything for. We're running full social media. We're building website, like overworking for this opportunity. Yeah. And I was like, man, if we can make $100, we can do this. Yeah. And dude, we struggled. Like, I mean, I will never forget. There were times where we had $20 and we're like, we have 2 weeks on this $20.
Fuck, dude.
You know what I mean? And
but you crushed that account, right?
We did. We did. We crushed that account, and that gave me a portfolio. And then somebody saw that, and then they had a brother that was starting a staffing firm. So then he calls, we build that, and then he knew somebody that had a gym, and then we did that, and then that gym owner knew somebody that had this company, and it was literally a trickle-down effect. Every client got us another client.
Exactly. See, and that's like an important message that I want to put out there too. Like sometimes you have to just exchange your services for something else instead of something that's monetary.
Man, 100%.
So you can actually get your word out. Don't let your ego get in front of you and say, oh no, I'm worth this much. You don't know. You don't have a track record. So you got to build that track record, you know? And that's super important because, man, the competition there's a lot right now. So how do you get in front of it? It's like, fuck it, do this shit for free because it's going to pay back. If you believe your craft and you believe that you're that good, why not do it for free? Because you're going to crush it. That's how I think of it.
That's probably one of my biggest maybe messages to any entrepreneur or anyone starting. You can't go into it thinking about money.
You can't. Yep.
You cannot go into it 100%. Thinking about money. I learned, man, and obviously I have a long way to go, for my goals and stuff. But what I've learned is, for all the time I was chasing money, I never made it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, same.
Any type of monetary, freedom or whatever only came when I stopped chasing it. Yep. I was going after, I can't tell you how much work I would do I still to this day will do things. Mm-hmm. I gauge everything by the opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people that you can't go into this thinking about money. If you have to do it for free and you have to work for free, work for free. Yep. Like, don't be scared of that. And a lot of people are scared of that. And I think that's what, will separate certain individuals from others,
Same thing with LiftFit. I was a trainer and I was chilling with my income there. This was just a passion thing. Yep. I was like, I just want to make dope shirts now.
That's it, yeah.
And then that thing just scaled. I was like, oh shit, it was never meant to do that,
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anyways, so now you guys are so it trickles down from your Peru client to how many clients you have. We were having this conversation. You had a ton of clients, and now you're at the point where you can just pick and choose and want to live comfortably.
Yeah, we fully, one of the biggest things and commitments we made to ourselves was we want full control of our life.
Yes.
And through what I've been through, I'm extremely picky with my day-to-day and my life and how I live it and what I do. I don't put anything for money if I don't enjoy it. Right. For me, I base everything on I enjoy it first, right? And so we only take on projects that we feel like we're passionate about, or if we're working with a project that we're just not feeling, we'll cut it.
That's good. A lot of people don't know how to say no anymore.
Yeah.
They take on way too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you're doing shit that you don't want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's not worth it to me. Nope. I want to do what I love and what I enjoy doing. And where we're at right now, we just very fortunate, work with a ton of great people. We've built, over the past 3 years, without counting existing businesses, we've helped create over 65 companies. We've built probably well over 500 websites. And then we manage currently ongoing, as far as we handle 100% of all of the marketing and branding for about 60 businesses right now. So, you know, it's a lot of pressure because obviously if the business is slow, we're responsible. If the business is busy, we're responsible. And obviously in times like this, you know, it can be a little stressful, but we enjoy every company that we're working with, every entrepreneur that we're working with.
Feel like work.
Not at all, man. Not at all. And even the stress is fun stress.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
see you guys on social media and stuff, like you guys are doing outdoor stuff. I always see you guys, like, you know,
Yeah.
and that's one thing you said. I want to be able to work wherever I am.
Freedom.
You know, yeah, freedom.
Freedom,
that's so crucial.
yeah, that's our priority. First is freedom, control our own life, and you know, we can make a living doing it. That's the bonus. So
then now recently, since you left here from February and now it's about to be August, you've gotten a new office space.
yeah.
But I remember your house flooded and shit. Another fucking a downfall hit. Like, what the fuck happened? Tell me a little bit about that shit.
Well, man, the downfall thing, man, I feel like 90% of entrepreneurship is navigating through obstacles, right? And then the other 10% is like the fun part, maybe. So we left here in February, which was right before all this pandemic stuff happened in like March, right? So, when we left here, we were really, you know, kind of moving into the next level of scaling our company. We had just hired our first full-time. We hired Sawyer full-time to come on board and help us in January. We come here in February. We get back. March, we decide, all right, we have to make another investment. We have to hire someone else full-time. We step out, we hire Parker on full-time. So now we're committing to full-time salaries. And then the pandemic hits, right? The week after he starts full-time. So, you know, obviously in the beginning, we didn't know what was going to happen, just like anybody didn't. Right. But man, that moment, I looked at everything and I'm like, look, I'm not losing this again. This will not happen. So I will not let a virus, I will not let anything stop what we're doing. So we made adjustments, we pivoted, and we just like put the pedal to the floor on everything we could do.
Building too, right?
Yeah, so we're coming into March, right? And then the pandemic, we go in quarantine like April.
Yeah.
So then we decide shortly after, we kind of revamped the company structure a little bit. We brought them on, we kept them on, we readjusted a few things, cleaned up some areas, added some areas that we needed to, signed a lease on an office to move into an office because we were, especially with having a team, you know, everybody's coming to the house. We're in the kitchen, whatever, working, so we wanted a space that we could separate. So we signed a lease on an office out of the blue. Actually, I met with the team on a Wednesday and said, we're not going to get an office. We're just going to work remote. We don't need the overhead. Okay. Friday, I found the office, signed the lease. Monday, I give them the keys. We have to jet out of town, so we have to drive because the fly-in situation. So we leave them at the office painting that week while we go out of town. We get back in town on Saturday. They've moved into the office for us. Sunday, we leave, we come back home. There's water coming out of the garage. We open up the front door, the entire house is flooded. Okay, about 3 to 5 inches of water. The whole house that we're renting is flooded to the top with water. This is the day after we get out of town. The day after we get back from town, and our first weekend to start decorating our office. We actually left that Sunday to go get decor for our office because we were excited. When we signed the lease on the office, we were gone that first week. Right. So this was our first day to go into our office and start to decorate. We get home and the whole house is flooded.
But did you move your computers and stuff in yet, or where was that stuff?
Oh, bro, the computers are in my V2 backpack on the floor.
Wet?
Soaked. First thing I come into the house. Obviously, we go into like this.
Files, everything.
Dude, my whole MacBook's fried. What's funny, dude, is the first thing I did, we walk in, like obviously we're in panic mode, right? Our animals are on the couch. They're freaking out, which thank God, because, you know, throughout the house, man, there's electrical cords. Yeah. Every room is flooded. So, you know, that could have easily gone a total different direction. But so Jenna's freaking out. I'm kind of freaking out. We don't really know what to do. The first thing I do, bro, is I tell Jenna, I say, get on the phone with the insurance company. I have to go to Best Buy. So I go to Best Buy. They're not open. You know, they're only doing appointments only to buy a MacBook. Yeah. Because I was like, this is everything, you know. Yeah. So no, it fried our computers. It ruined all of our furniture. There was nothing deemed salvageable. So they wrote everything. They had to send a company in. They literally, we sat there and watched them pull our entire house out and put it by the side of the road. So we just get back in town. We sign on the office. Sunday's our first day back in town. The house is flooded. We have to stay in a hotel Sunday night. All right. Monday, while they're dealing with the stuff at the house, we're building out the office while still working, but we have to leave town the following week.
Oh,
so, dude,
damn.
It's crazy. Monday comes, Wednesday we sign a lease on a new house.
Okay.
Friday we move into the house, close the other house. Saturday, Sunday we build out the office. Monday we leave town to North Carolina. Gone for a week, come back, and then that was just a few weeks ago. We're refurnishing our house. We finally leveled out.
This is really
This
recent.
is very recent.
Yeah.
This is we've been in our house that we're in now for I just paid our first month of rent, so this is like a month and a half.
Yeah. So now, knock on wood, because we just, or he's checking the weather. There's we just checked right now. We see the whole, we see the U.S., the North America, South or Africa, and you see these storms are coming right now. So there's a storm right now in Florida.
Yeah, we fly back Saturday, and I think the hurricane's supposed to hit us Sunday.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked right now, right?
Yeah, so we're going home to a hurricane. Yeah, man, at this point, nothing surprises us, nor does it really faze us. You know, we just take it as it comes, and what we've learned is just quick, right? So it's like, boom, the house is flooded. What are we gonna do? Move quick, right? We can't get caught up. Can't get caught up in the downfall of it and sit here, because, you know, we have to keep it moving. So everything's about just plowing through it, you know, and moving as quickly as we can to come out on the other side. And so right now at this point, you know, everything's good. We overcame all of that.
Damn, that is freaking wild, dude.
Yeah, and poor Parker and Sawyer, man, they, you know, they've obviously seen it and been a part of it, man, and they look many times and they're just like, we've never seen anything like this. You know, what you guys are going through has been, you know, insane.
At least they understand, no?
Yeah, 100%. And they've obviously carried us through most of it, man. Without them, you know, without having a team, man, I don't know how we would have made it through some of the things we did with the house and stuff, but yeah, we made it through, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And all your clients are good. Everything.
All of our clients are good, man. You know, business is still growing. We've had some great opportunities. Yeah, and just excited still. No matter what happens, we're just still excited. You know, so we're eager to get back home tomorrow and right back at it on Monday, man.
That's crazy. So I mean, we were talking for like, what, an hour or so?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a short period of time to put a lot of information out. I know, I'm sure we left out a ton of different things.
Yeah.
But, like, just like the whole underlying thing that I'm getting from you in this conversation is just like, just keep moving forward, regardless of, like, you're going to get fucking knocked down, you're going to get fucking, shit's going to be thrown at you whenever, at whatever time, you know? For sure. It's just keeping your fucking head up and moving forward.
That's it, man. As quickly as possible, because you can't avoid the obstacles.
Damn,
and I've learned too, man, that the obstacles are where the gold is, right? So I've learned now, you know, I look at things different. So like, you know, walking into a flooded house, the first thought is panic. But then I immediately now, through going through things, you learn, wait a minute, something good. This is a path to something. It's a lesson for something. So there's going to be something good out of it. And it did. It ended up being, we ended up getting what we were going to be, you know, what was a goal of ours a year or 2 years from now, ended up becoming an immediate reality because the house flooded. You know what I mean? So now we get through that and we find ourselves on the other side. And that's what I've been, you know, really, I think, passionate about, is like you said, the obstacles are going to come. It's just go through it.
Yeah.
Because on the other side, you know, there's going to be something better.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, so that's a wrap right there. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned some things throughout this interview. Like I said, this is Ryan McNutt. Go ahead and tell them where they can find your brand or anything about you.
Yeah, man, definitely. Instagram's the Ryan McNutt, and website is www.onesourcebranding.com.
Dope, man. Appreciate it, dude.
Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah, dude.